Major funding for this program was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. In America, more black men are in prison than in college, and for black males, the bullet is the leading cause of death. Violence. It isolates neighbors. It divides communities. It demands a response. We have a way of ignoring it until it happens to us. Hatim Mac 1 teaches black male teenagers about their history and culture, embracing Afrocentrism, strengthening the community from within.
In this world there are times of trouble,
cries of anger,
tears of grief, but when people stand together, there's a chance of making peace.
Too many young blacks taking falls. Every time I look up for another name on the wall. We got to stop the killing among each other, cause every time a death occurs, it's a brother. R.I.P. Rest in peace, the dead homies on the wall. So let me stress my sorrow. Please don't be the next to get killed. On here today, then gone tomorrow.
My name is Hatim Mac 1. Hatim means judge, one that takes it upon himself, and one that makes it his duty.
I'm trying to make sure y'all stay out of trouble, whatever, try to help y'all find some opportunities.
Mac
whatever.
means man acquiring courage and knowledge.
Help yourself, man.
And the one is the unity I bring to my people. A majority of these young boys that you work with, they don't never see themselves living past 22, 23 years old, and that's the way they live their life. And there needs to be some type of safe haven for brothers that don't want to get involved in none of that madness.
One of the young brothers that we was working with came up dead the other day. I think he got shot in the head. I'm not really sure. If I don't know nothing else, I know that where guns are, death is just waiting at the door. Now, I also need to fill y'all in on what happened to me right about there on my jaw. You came to see it. The doctor did such a good job. The doctor did a real good job. I got shot on November 10th while trying to help a sister.
Her daughter started screaming, "Please don't shoot my mommy, please don't shoot my mommy." And he pointed the gun at them. So I'm like, yo, man, it ain't got to be like this. We only have to go out like this. And he was like, fuck that. And I said, well, then, I ain't got no fear. And he pulled the gun up like this and faked like that. And I went like that, and then he went like this again. And I seen the blood flowing out, and I was like, damn, this is a fucked up way to die. And at first I was scared, but then I said, well, this ain't what I be teaching the kids.
Let's explain a little bit about the Rites of Passage group.
Rites of Passage is a process that young people go through to become adults. You know what I'm saying? And it's an ongoing process for the rest of your life. The closest thing that y'all into it is like if y'all in a street organization. The only thing is, a lot of these street organizations is disconnected from the community. So instead of building the community up, they're tearing it down. So what we want to do, we want to connect young people back to the community so that we can start building this up. We can own the corner stores. We can have the businesses that are going on around our community and build it back up to where it needs to be.
Well, Underground Railroad basically is a rites of passage organization that helps take young African-American males out of the streets and get them constructive things to do.
Both of y'all share. You share? You John? Carter G. Woodson, he was like a historian and an educator. And when he wrote this book, which was the early 1900s, he wrote it.
We deal with culture, we deal with history, we deal with giving them principles so that they can live by.
And can anybody tell me what that line means?
We learn the history of slavery, but we don't learn the history of before slavery.
Go ahead.
Good job.
Listen to what he's saying.
We picked that name because the Underground Railroad is synonymous with freedom.
The first paragraph tells you all about the whole chapter. You know what I'm saying? If you don't get a basic understanding from there, then the rest of the stuff you're gonna be reading ain't gonna make no sense. All right?
I'm what they call the Supreme Imagineer.
Now what meditation does, it allows you to learn how to focus this breath.
I'm like the spiritual aspect of the whole train. We took the word engineer out and put imagineer in there.
Breathe out.
Then you have the mechanic.
All right. Huh.
The mechanic is the one that makes sure the train is constantly running. Then we have the designer. That's the individual that laid the tracks for the train.
This is about work. This is about men being men, young boys being changed into men.
A great deal of my design time is spent not only designing how the different activities will work, but to write the grants and to solicit the corporations and the foundations for the money to make it possible, if you will, to generate the steam that the train runs on.
Then we have the navigator. Navigator makes sure we stay on track.
Yo, man, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What got you involved with the Underground?
It was all that black, man. It was black this, it was black that. From black clothes to black socks to black state of mind. It was just all this black. You know, I was in this Afrocentric way of life, but it really didn't have no vessel. And now I'm in the organization, the train. Now we going places, you know, I feel myself more involved in my Afrocentricity.
What are you on? Where are you headed? To the east. What's in the east? Freedom, big brother. What is freedom? Peace of the spirit, mind, and body. March. 1, 2, 3.
That is what we need for our communities, is to take an Afrocentric perspective to heal our community.
Argo. All right. All right. Brothers and sisters, I want all of us to join in together because it is our culture.
To pull back into perspective our own history, our own values, our own rituals.
Dr. Kelsey, he's my elder. He's the wisdom of the community.
In any place, every African person should stand up and say that our culture for more than 10,000 years has stood on its spiritual base. And so let us now pour libations. And as we pour it, we want to first pour it to the Creator, by whatever name you know the Creator. And I would like all of us to join in together with an Ashe, which represents that we are one, as we say together that it is done.
Ashe. Now we move on to all those that died during the Middle Passage, because it's important that we remember our people went through a Holocaust. Our people are lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, in between here and Africa. So it's important that we remember them souls.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Harambe!
Harambe!
Harambe! Harambe! Harambe! Harambe! Harambe!
Some would say that that is radical or revolutionary, but what they really mean is that it is contrary to the status quo, and it's upsetting to things going on as usual. Marcus Garvey was doing much of the same thing. He was developing cadres of people who were going to clean up their own community and become economically self-sufficient. If you look at Elijah Muhammad, you see essentially the same pattern. Look at the Panther Party, they were talking about the same thing. People coming together, learning how to heal our own community. The Underground Railroad is a model that comes out of us as African people. It is our way of saying that here's a blueprint for living.
My name is Chris Mateen, I'm 16 years old, and I live on the north side of Columbus. I live with my mom, my 2 brothers, and one of my sisters. I've been with the Underground Railroad for about a year and a half. And when I first got in, when I first learned about it, I went to the groups, and we'd just be reading stuff about our history, and we had to memorize the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles. Umoja means unity. Kujichagulia means self-determination. Umoja, Kujichagulia, Ujima, Ujama, Lia, Kaunga, and Dama.
Two more. Kujichagulia to the right. March.
We do all the drilling and all the working out because the main thing we trying to instill in these brothers is discipline, order, and respect. Hopefully, these young brothers will catch on and they'll incorporate it into their life.
Zoom, zoom, zoom means war.
If you set an example, you can be the one that's setting the trend. So if the trend is to be lazy and have your pants hanging off your ass and being a gangbanger, then that's a trend you set. But if you are orderly, you have a certain look, a certain glow. We practicing that door, discipline, order, and respect.
Railroad!
If you want to be free, say Ashe. If you want to be free, say Ashe. If you want to be free, say Ashe. Words of power rise up in me, crushing jealousy, hate, and envy. Move me to the air so now I can see my Afrocentric destiny. Ashe.
Dad, Baba, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I think that's going to be it. See it?
Yeah.
The rock ritual was something I made up about 4 years ago, where you will find a rock, you put a wish on that rock, and you throw it out into the world. You symbolically throwing your troubles away, or you throwing your positivity out into the world so that it can spread out and bless everybody. It all depends on what you need.
Take your time. Ain't no hurry, don't hurt yourself.
I'm Brian. I prefer to call him Wisdom. That's my son.
Try not to get your shoes wet.
I try to make sure he on the proper path.
Can you make it? Try over there. Good job.
My grandfather was always setting an example, you know. In a sense, I think I modeled myself as far as manhood close along the lines of what he showed me manhood was.
I don't know. Come on.
My grandfather was hard-working, caring, stayed out of trouble, stuff like that.
I know him when he go, OJ.
I didn't meet my father until I was about 12 years old, between 10 and 12 years old. I always wanted to meet him. I always had a dream of meeting him and how it would be. I wanted to be with him, but I didn't miss him because I had football, I had school. In a sense, I was looking for a path on becoming a man. And so that attracted me to ROTC. I did well there. And then when I got to college, I just locked myself in a room and I just started reading. I started reading about slavery. Then I started reading about my history, the civil rights movement and the Black Panther Party. And I started getting madder and madder and madder. Then I started getting deeper into the spirituality. Through spirituality, you realize if you hate anybody or you hate anything, what you're truly doing, you're not destroying what you hate, you're destroying yourself.
Everybody else in Columbus that's ready to do something positive. If y'all ready to do something positive and tired of the negative, let me hear you say, ho!
I started joining organizations, and we started speaking out and stuff like that.
And make sure that this don't stop.
That's true power. Power ain't having no gun, but power is being able to harness this.
The Afrocentric, African-centered perspective emerged not in Africa, but in America.
Then I had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Myers, and I said, dang, she deep.
What we're interested in is knowing and understanding the history, the experience of African people based on their own cultural frame of reference. If you have a group of people who grow up in an environment that's hostile to them, that says on every count you're inferior, we really need to be creating within that context an alternate environment, an alternate social setting that says to them, you're of value. And I think that's what Hatim's done. And he's taught these young men something of these ideas. Not only taught them, but developed a system of organization, of social organization.
I found out that I had 3 individuals that wanted to be initiated into the underground as Imagineers. Right now in the running is Brother Gye-Nyame.
He said you gotta do physical, spiritual, and mental. The physical is to work out and stuff, and the mental, that's the reading books. And the spiritual, I guess you gotta meditate or something.
My vision is to be able to send some of these brothers out to other cities to go speak and go teach and set the example that's necessary, because I want the Underground Railroad to become a way of life.
Way to fall back in it, Jeremiah.
A lot of these brothers were me 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago. And they at the same crossroads I was at. And I don't think I would really be a man if I didn't go back and try to help them make a healthy decision, a positive decision, a community building decision.
Then what we'll do is we're going to tie their hands. And everybody will have to put the bandana on the person in front of them. And then we will put the bandana on the last person.
With the Sankofa March, we take our youth back by assimilating the capture of our ancestors. If they felt what our ancestors went through, then I don't think they would waste as much time doing some of the stupid things that they do.
Y'all back in the womb. Y'all reborn. We about to take y'all back in the past.
Sankofa.
Last night, they blindfolded us, took us into the woods, and left us. It teaches you about your African heritage and how Harriet Tubman kept going. She was determined to free some slaves, and she didn't care if she was gonna die or not. So I'm like, somebody gonna do all that just to free some slaves, then imagine if they was alive today, what they be doing.
Violence arises when an individual feels there is nothing else that they can do. The main thing that we like to do is teach brothers how to focus on something else, to give them methods that they can use to deal with the anger.
What's the difference in being just an adult, male adult, and being an African man? What's the difference? Maybe they haven't thought about it. Have you thought about it?
I ain't never thought about that.
Well, I'll just talk about education for a minute. Somehow or other, they got us believing. They got us believing that education in the school system is life. That's not true. In fact, the matter is, if we think about it for black people, it is to keep black people under control.
If you ain't got the green, you ain't nothing.
If you ain't got the what?
If you ain't got the green, the dollar bill with the president sign on it, you ain't gonna be here about 2 months. You know, I'm gonna help out the black community, but if they don't wanna hear it, leave them alone. Pass by to somebody else that wanna be helped.
You guys have got to have a much broader vision. You've got to see that Africa's in need of whatever you got. And if you become a Michael Jackson in 10 years, have the kind of money he got, you got to have Africa up here and the survival of your people up here. So we've even not only got to have the business thing, we got to have the educational thing, we got to have all of it working. You understand what I'm saying?
Right now, we are your protectors while you're learning to protect yourself and your family. But you have to learn how to do it. You have to be taught. We don't want white men to teach you. We will teach you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Right. That's what I got to say.
Stop tripping. Stop. Now go. Comet, you better chill out, homeboy.
Just keep on hitting, Reggie. Don't stop.
Let's go Egypt in the southern period.
You survive with them forward because you got to take them.
Let's go.
In our period. That's what I'm saying.
Friday, 11:25 a.m.
Peace, God. This is Tim. I'm calling to let you know I lost one. Jeremiah was found yesterday in his house with a bullet in the right side of his head. So I'm about to go out here and I'll go pay his mom a visit. With that, I say peace.
I fought for years to see the light, but now that I have reached it,
It blinds me and binds me and takes all that I have. Is there no justice? Is there no peace? I finally made it up to the top, and just when I think I'm finished, I finally can relax, and another mountain appears. Should I give up? Should I just bow down my head in defeat to the mountain? Should I fall to my knees at the base of the mountain and cry, there is no justice, there is no peace? Or should I just climb the mountain and make the climb my justice and make the climb my peace? Should I just break the binds and reach into the light and snatch out what is mine and continue on and continue on and continue? Peace.
Now, since he's gone, I feel that since I needed to, since I ain't got no big brother to live in the house with me, then I have big brothers right here. So I can be with these big brothers.
And I felt as if it was all, my fault. Here I am, rapping about black on black crime, and here it is taking place, in my own family.
It just made me real mad that he's gone. I mean, it doesn't make no sense. And I kind of got mad, thought about retaliation, but
we don't do things like that. We can't, if we continue doing that, then we ain't no different than the Crips and the Bloods. There got to be some thought to what we do. We could retaliate by saving 10 more brothers. We could retaliate by building up the underground and making sure that nothing like that ever happens within these circles again.
And I see, Jeremiah as being called home, a call to order, as well as confirmation for the work that we're doing. And we can't call and dial up somebody else and ask them to come in and fix nothing. That it's gonna start right here. And we ain't starting with the brothers and sisters that supposedly got the good jobs. We starting at the grassroots level where we are affected the most, doing the most with the least, but with the most love from the heart, and that's what matters.
News 820 commentator Hatem Mac1 will be traveling to the Million Man March this weekend. There are some people who are concerned because the Minister Louis Farrakhan, who some have labeled as an anti-Semitic, as a racist. Does this diminish the march?
I'm like this. The march is bigger than all that. The march is bigger than him. The march is bigger than our individuals' egos. The march is bigger than the fears that other people have of a million black men coming together. It's about us sending a statement to our people that it's time for us to wake up. It's the wake-up call. Usually try to say that everything that black men do comes out in violence. This is not about violence. It's not about scaring anybody. It's just about showing our people and showing ourselves that we can organize to come together for one ideal, for a purpose.
Long live the spirit, a million man march. Long live the spirit, a million man march. Long live the spirit, a million man march.
Let the idea of atonement ring throughout America. That America may see that the slave has come up with power.
By a million men coming together, we showing that we want to take our youth through some type of structured rites of passage. It wasn't a white boy or a white man or the sister that put my brother in the casket that I just buried. It was our ignorance that did that. We need brothers to come back and get to work to build in our communities. Hopefully, the statement will be made and be heard around the world that, black men, we're taking responsibility.
Major funding for this program was provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.